Do you wonder why the guys you like the most are the least interested in you? What if I told you the reason they're not interested in you is because you look so desperate that it's actually repulsive? Don't worry though. After we discuss the 7 dumb things that make you look desperate, you'll know exactly what not to do and how a simple change in your approach can take a man from being repulsed by you to being obsessed with you. Welcome to the Players Club. If you're paying attention to me and everyone else in the live stream, please say here or present so that I know you're here present and actively participating. Welcome to all of you beautiful people on this Thursday afternoon for me. I don't know what time it is in your neck of the woods. Welcome, Brianna. Welcome. Maybe SH is here. Brianna, you've been here. You a staple here. Okay. SH is definitely here. Where's Sharice been? One of my A+ students. Okay. Nick says he's so fine. Thank you. I appreciate that. Lena Leak, welcome. We got Missy America, our one and only and most amazing moderator holding down the YouTube chat. We got Ivy, of course, Enlightened Ace here. She's an OG. Rose Teddy is here as well. Angela, BJ, Sherry, Redbone in the TikTok chat. Adorable. Welcome all of you beautiful human beings. Okay, let's get started today. So we're going to get hot and heavy. You guys know how I feel about this if you've been joining the show for a long time. Being a textaholic is number one. Okay, now, how many of you in the chat love texting? Okay, we're gonna dive deep into this, and I'm gonna get in your butt. No weird stuff. Okay, because this texting thing is gonna ruin your life. But admit to me. Be honest with me. We're here. We're together. It's okay. We don't have to tell anyone else. Tell me, do you enjoy texting? Yes or no in the chat. Now, the reason I'm asking that question is because I know how we date nowadays in the 21st century. I know it's very different from how people used to do it. I know our values are different. I know the things that we care about are different. I'm not here to tell you that the things you care about are good or bad, but I do want you to understand how the things that you put your energy towards, how they project outwardly and how people receive those things. Now, a lot of you are what I call a textaholic. Okay? What I mean by textaholic is you are addicted to texting. You're always trying to text the person that you're in a relationship with 24/7, non-stop, 368 days a year. Okay? Because naturally, it feels like you're always there with them. Naturally, it feels like you're always talking to them. Naturally, it feels like they're always around, that you're always communicating, that everything, you're just 24/7. It's like nonstop. You're just like on each other's hip and you guys can never be separated. And the connection is so deep. That's what it feels like when you're texting them 24/7. Okay, but I actually want you to understand that being a textaholic makes you look desperate, and it doesn't make him feel any more attracted to you. It actually only serves the purpose of making him feel less attracted to you. Why? Because I understand what you want and why you're texting, but I also want you to understand what other people are receiving, specifically the men are receiving when you're constantly texting them. I want you to imagine what it would be like to be the woman of his dreams actually. Okay, no diss to you, but I want you to imagine what it would actually be like to be one of those IG models that he chases around and likes all their pictures, or his favorite celebrity crush. There's a good chance he perceives his favorite celebrity crush or his dream girl as being out of his league. Okay, now when I say out of his league, I say that because that's not just in a physical sense, that's in a spiritual sense, that's in an emotional sense. He doesn't feel like he is on that level. And so, subsequently, because he doesn't feel like he's on that level, how do you think his dream girl is likely going to treat him if she's truly out of his league? She's not really going to have time for him. She's not really going to be that interested in him. She's not really going to want to spend that much time around him or talking to him. She's going to have other things to do. She's going to have other people beating down her door. She's going to have other people who are willing to crawl on glass and sniff her butthole. It's not anything interesting that this one of 1,000 men is interested in her. So the reason I bring up being a textaholic and I bring up that example is because I want you to start thinking about not just the actions you're taking, but how the actions you're taking are being perceived by others. When you're a textaholic texting him 24/7, you feel like you're talking to him all the time. He also feels like he's talking to you all the time, but he also is forced to infer, which means just come to the conclusion that the only way you would be able to text him 24/7 all the time is if there was nothing in your life ever more important than him, and or if you just had so little going on in your life that you had nothing but time to sit around and text him all day, every day. Either way, either one of those two conclusions is very bad for you because you come across as being desperate and needy for him, in which in turn makes you very unattractive and even repulsive in some scenarios. Why? Because I don't want to be in a relationship with the girl who's desperate for me. I want to be in a relationship as a man with the girl who I have to chase after, who I have to pursue, who is slightly out of my league, that I have to put my best foot forward in order to get access to her. The moment she shows me that she's desperate for me, all that does is communicate to me that I no longer have to put my best foot forward, that I no longer have to pursue, that I no longer have to chase, that I no longer have to put in any work required to getting her because she's the one trying to get me. She's the one trying to get my attention. She's the one trying to get my approval. Okay? She's the one all up in my grill. And so while the texting can be a very lighthearted thing from your perspective, I want you to understand it can quickly put you in a place where you look very desperate for that man and desperate to be in that relationship. And all that does for him is boost his ego and communicates to him that he doesn't have to do too much for you because you're already a cooked steak. Okay? There's no seasonings he's got to put on you. There's no amount of marinating he's got to put on you. He's got to put no work into you. You're already ready to go. You're like DoorDash, okay? You're just like DoorDash. You're already ready to go with a simple text or phone call. Actually, a text, right? And so I want you to understand, being a textaholic, while you might feel like you're building a deep connection, first of all, you're not building a deep connection because you can't actually get to know someone over text. It's also making you look very desperate to that man because it looks like you have nothing but time, or that that nothing else is important enough to you that, even if you were doing something and he texted you, you would drop everything to text him back because you just enjoy his company over the phone that much. Even that in itself can be repulsive as a perception of who you are. Because if I feel like, hey, we just started dating, we just started talking, and all of a sudden I'm the most important thing in your world, and anything you do have going on, you're going to drop it immediately to talk to me and to text me when we just started dating and I shouldn't be the number one priority in your life. All that tells me is that you're so desperate to either be in a relationship or to be with me in a relationship that you'll drop everything right away for me in any scenario. Okay? And so I want you to understand how that is affecting you. Avatar Baby says that's draining. Is it really draining to just not text? Okay. Because I know a lot of you, and I'll give you guys exactly what I always tell you guys to do when it comes to messaging and texting. Okay. I always tell you, use this phone, this device as a what? You should know it in the chat if you've been here for a long time. What do I always tell you? Those of you who are A+ students, I've seen even in the YouTube, some people said this is my first time here today. You're in for quite a treat. For those of you who have been here, what do I always tell you to use the phone as? You're not using it as a get to know me. You're not using it as this is how we're going to learn the history of each other's lives and past relationships. You're not using it as a way to become best friends. What are you using this device for? Tell me in the chat. Okay. Brianna says scheduling device. Ivory says scheduling tool. Okay. I see a lot of people saying scheduling tool. Natasha says setting up appointments to meet. In the YouTube chat, my A+ student, Missy America, of course, says scheduling tool. Vanessa says set up dates, schedule dates. And Lightning says schedule meetups. I'm so glad so many of you are A++ students and know exactly what I was about to say, right? You're using the phone as a scheduling tool to get the next in-person hangout or date, okay? Because at the end of the day, you are not focused on anything except getting him to continuously want to see you in person more, okay? And the most valuable and quality time he can spend with you, where he gets the best experience from you, will always be in person. Okay? Do not make the mistake of coming across desperate, right? And coming across needy and coming across as if you have nothing better to do in your life because you want so badly to be a textaholic that sees him and speaks to him all the time. That's the thing. Part of this concept of understanding the things that are making you look desperate, you have to acknowledge how much you might want to do something, but how detrimental it can be to your perception in a relationship. And I know someone said earlier, it's so draining, right? To have to think of these things and to have to be aware of how you're being perceived. But the reality of it is, while it might be work to actually have to think about how you're being perceived, in the end, when you finally get the man to act how you want him to act, right? And do exactly how you want him to do, and you don't have to chase him around begging him to act the right way, I promise you there will be a lot of energy saved and you'll be a much happier camper when you have your man in a position that you want him to be, rather than not doing these things, not putting in the work to make sure you're being perceived the way you want to be perceived, and then all of a sudden you're chasing around him to try to get him to act right instead of doing the work at the beginning. That's why so many of you come to me and you ask me, how do I reverse all the damage that's been done? You hear me talk about not giving away Squirtle. You hear me talk about being unavailable. You hear me talk about using the phone as a scheduling tool. And you're like, listen, Tomisin, I've done literally everything you said not to do. So how do I reverse that? I've given away Squirtle. I've done everything. And I'm like, look, it's close to impossible now, once you've done that damage, to try and reverse that. Because what you're supposed to be doing is you're supposed to be aware of the goal you're striving for in the relationship. And you're supposed to be aware of what you're trying to work towards for yourself. And even in terms of how he treats you and how he approaches you. And then you're supposed to be setting the groundwork for that all throughout the relationship. Okay. And it's not a bad thing that you actually have to do work in order to understand how you're being perceived, that he can approach you the right way. Okay. He's not just going to respect you for the sake of respecting you, but if you demand respect, I promise you, he will respect you. Guys know who to play with and who to not play with. If you can establish yourself as someone who to not mess around with, then he will understand that and he will approach you accordingly with respect. And that only serves you. Don't think of it as, oh, I'm doing all this work for him to be better for him. And why is it all about the men? Think of it as you're doing this work to serve you in the future. Because when you're in the relationship, you'll have a much better partner to you that treats you a lot better. And you'll have to put in a lot less work and have a lot less stress chasing him around, which is good. Okay. Right? So number one was being a textaholic. I told you guys, in order to adjust that, you use the phone as a scheduling tool, and a scheduling tool alone. I don't care if he texts you 1,000,000 times. For some of you, I know you guys ask, well, what should I do if he's the one texting me? What should I do if he's double texting me, triple texting me, asking me why I'm not talking on the phone? What you do, listen to me. This is exactly what you do. You let him know, whatever the last time you saw him in person is. You let him know, I enjoyed seeing you in person. I'm just letting you know the reason I don't text that much is because I have a lot on my plate. I have a really busy schedule. Okay. But I did enjoy seeing you in person and having a conversation with you. I find you very interesting and fascinating. I would love if you want to get the best version of me, that's going to be in person. I just don't really have the time to be texting all throughout the day because I have a lot of other stuff to get done. And after that, You continue allowing him to just text you if he's going to text you. And once you've said that, he will get the hint and put two and two together. Oh, she really means she's not going to be a good texter because she really has other things to do. And what's going to happen is the only thing left for him to do is to take you out on a date, is to ask you to hang out in person, because he comes to the realization, I'm not going to be able to access her any other way other than taking her out on a date in real life. Does that make sense to you guys so far? Right? I want us to all be on the same page. Okay? That's why being a textaholic can be so dangerous, but that's how you can reverse that so it doesn't become an issue. The next thing, okay, number 2 is asking for attention. Now, we're going to touch on this in detail. See, I know that when you hear people say communication is key, communication is key, communication is key, I agree. Communication is key and very, very important. However, just like with anything else that we discuss on this show, it is so important to understand that you are not trying to present yourself as needy under the umbrella of I'm communicating. What do I mean by that? Just because you're trying to communicate more and let him know what you want and what you need and all that good stuff, that doesn't mean you sit around asking him, please, why don't you text me more? You never text me anymore. Why don't you call me? Are you cheating on me? Why don't you call me? You said you were going to call me at 9 p.m. and you called me at 9:01 p.m. Does that mean you don't like me? Tell me, do you still love me or do you think I'm lame now? Do you think I'm ugly? Do you think her dump truck is bigger than mine? Is that why you don't call me anymore? Why don't you want to speak to me? Do I upset you? Do I offend you? Do I have BO? Which one is it? I don't know why you don't like me anymore. Here's the thing. While you think that you're making your feelings known and you're communicating, what's actually happening underneath the surface is you're becoming a desperate ball of anxiety. And he only sees you as less than. Because why are you so bent out of shape because I'm not calling you or because I'm not texting you? Do you not have anything else to do in your life except for sit around and watch the clock move as, you know, you're waiting for me to text you or call you or FaceTime you or try to hang out with you, right? I know that you're thinking you're being communicative, right? And telling him how you feel about things, but you're actually just coming across as someone who has nothing else to do with their time or energy except sit around and wait for me to actually have the time or space to deal with you and spend time with you. Okay? And it comes across very desperate, and that could be very off-putting to people, especially men that you're being romantic with. Okay? Because think about what I just said earlier and what his dream girl would be embodying if he was ever in a relationship with his dream girl. Do you really think his dream girl would be asking him why he didn't call at 9 p.m. like he said he was going to call? And why it took him until 9:01 p.m.? No, his dream girl would be out there doing a whole bunch of fun, interesting, amazing things, not worried about him. His dream girl would be having so many men willing to crawl on glass and sniff her butthole, she can't even remember that you said that you were going to call her at 9 p.m. She's actually got other things to do. Oh, you didn't call me at 9 p.m.? Oh, cool. I didn't even realize I was doing so much other stuff. Maybe next time. Okay? And the reason I say that is not that, oh, you shouldn't care, or you shouldn't ever want to be with your man or ever want to speak to your man, and you should just be totally detached and never care about anything, never like anyone, never love anyone. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you should also have things that you care about, that are important to you, that you spend your time and energy on, okay? That the fact that he might not call you or text you doesn't bend you out of shape so much that it feels like the world is falling apart. Okay. It helps to keep you stable, right? And it doesn't mean that you don't care, and it doesn't mean that it doesn't upset you when someone promises you they'll call you or they'll talk to you. It just means that you're stable enough that even if he doesn't call you or text you, you don't fall apart and you start becoming this desperate ball of anxiety where you're like, please, why don't you call me? Why don't you text me? Why don't you this? Why don't you that? Why don't you do? Because it doesn't actually make him more interested in you and feel like he should call you and text you more. Unfortunately, the moment you open your mouth and start becoming needy and asking for more attention, even when he does give you more attention, it's from a place of pity. I'm going to say that again. When you are begging for his attention, even when he finally gives you that attention, it comes from a place of pity because he sees how in pain you are about the fact that he's not giving you enough attention. And because he feels sorry that you're in so much pain, he gives you attention for the simple fact he no longer wants you to be in pain. However, even though the action might be the same of him giving you more attention, the reasoning is very different. And so it elicits a different thought process in his own mind. He doesn't think, hey, I'm reaching out to you more and texting you more because of how much I desire you, because of how much I want to be in a relationship with you, because of how much more I want to spend time with you. He's thinking to himself, I'm reaching out to you and I'm texting you more simply because I know your world is going to fall apart if I don't text you and call you and FaceTime you more. Okay? And that's not very good for keeping him on the hunt, for keeping him in hot pursuit, for keeping him in deep desire for you where he is acting right. Because remember, you're trying to keep your man in a specific place, in a specific area in the relationship where he's constantly on the hunt, constantly in seek of your approval, constantly trying to chase after you to get more access to you. And because in that state is when he will be influenced and motivated to act the right way. Why? Because he wants you so badly. Now, vice versa, if he's not motivated to do that, if he's not motivated to pursue you, if he's not motivated to chase after you, you're going to get a man who is going to act incorrectly or act the wrong way or disrespect you or do all of those things that you've been experiencing in your life and the relationships that didn't work out. Okay? Yuri says, I was guilty of asking my ex for more in my last relationships. Your videos have been enlightening. I'm glad. Right? ABC says, it feels amazing when you give him the same pain he gave you once your self-love and self-esteem is restored. That's good. That's good. And you notice, this is the thing I always want you guys to understand. The moment you stop begging for attention, that's actually the moment you get the most attention. Truthfully and honestly, nobody's going to give you attention when you're begging for it. I gave you guys this example yesterday. If I'm on the sidewalk and I come up to you and I say, look, I was learning for 10 years how to juggle a ball. And I figured out 10 years ago, I spent so much time in the lab learning how to juggle these 10 balls and I'm lighting myself on fire so that you can see how much I care about you. It took me 10 years to learn this skill just so I could impress you and make you see how much I love you and how much I care about you. Don't you see how much I love you and I care about you? Because I'm juggling 10 balls in a row while I light myself on fire. Oh my God, I love you so much. Can you please just show me your appreciation and show me how much you care about me? Can you tell me you love me while I juggle these 10 balls? And, as someone is doing that and asking you for more attention and begging you for more attention and hoping that you'll see them, hoping that you'll pay attention to them and want to be with them and want to talk to them and want to spend time with them, it only repulses people farther away from you because they begin to think to themselves, you're not really in a very desirable state right now. It's almost like you're giving yourself up to me for free and asking me if I'll buy your product. Imagine if someone came up to you and was like, hey, I'll pay you to take my product off my hands. You'd be like, that's probably not a very valuable product. Okay. And it's the same thing with you in your relationships when you're desperate for attention and you're begging for attention. Why won't you call me more? Why won't you text me more? Why won't you this? Why won't you that? All that communicates to him is you must not have a very valuable product because you're begging me to purchase your product instead of knowing and understanding how much value your product already has, that you don't need to be asking me to purchase it. There's tons of people that want to purchase your product. I'm not saying you're a product. I'm just giving you an analogy for the concept. Okay. So very important to not be asking and begging for attention. Okay. Even if you feel like you need more, relax. If he's interested in you, when you sit back and chill out and let him cook, give him time to cook, he will show you how interested he is. The moment you start pushing forward, being needy, being desperate, he's going to take a step back. Noria says, please do Spanish. I don't know how to speak Spanish. Hola, señor, ¿cómo estás? Tú eres Tomisin. That's all I know. Okay, if I could speak Spanish, I would do it in multiple languages. Okay, so number one was being a textaholic. And number two was asking, specifically begging for attention. Now, number three, we have a quite interesting concept here that I don't think you guys have heard from others before. Maybe you have. Number three, let's talk about being Sherlock Holmes. What do you guys think I mean when I say being Sherlock Holmes? In the chat, let me know. What do you guys think that means? Let me find my book for it. What do you guys think that means when I say being Sherlock Holmes is one of the dumb things you can do to make yourself looking desperate? We're going to get deep into this one because this one is very important. I need you guys to understand this. Okay. Ray says snooping. Ever After says investigators. Ray says social media stalking. Brittany says spying on them. Okay. Dollhouse says stop going on their socials looking for stuff, right? Lorraine says checking his social media. Okay. Acting like a detective, Bree says. Or B. Right? Creeping IG, Ivy says. Okay. Now, all of those were good answers. The Sherlock Holmes is exactly what you guys were just answering, how you guys were answering. Is being a detective, searching for answers 24/7, trying to figure out who he's talking to, who he's going out with, who he's spending time with, what he's doing when he's not texting you. Right? And then taking that information and interrogating him. Where are you? Why didn't you text me? What are you doing right now? Why are you lying about where you're at? I see that you're at this club. I see that you're at this spot. Why'd you lie to me? I can see your location or this and that. Who are you with? Which friends? Take a picture. Show me the room. Show me the bathroom, right? And you're being Sherlock Holmes trying to investigate every little thing. Now, I know. Listen, this is another thing that I need to make very clear to you. I know that the men tell you, oh, I like a girl that's a little bit crazy. Oh, I like when my girl cares. Oh, I like when she's a little crazy. I know that they say that. But what I want you to understand is when you become Sherlock Holmes like this, all that does is, the reason they say they like that is because it's an ego boost. Why? Because I know you're so concerned with me is the only way or reason you'd be sitting here on your phone comparing which glass and which frame is the same glass on the same table, which means you're out on a date with another girl. Right? That gives me an ego boost because now I know how much power I have over you. Now I know subconsciously I don't need to chase you or pursue you. You're so obsessed with me, you're so consumed by me that everything I do, even when I step out of the house, all you're thinking about is what I'm doing when I step out of the house. You don't even have time or space in your life or in your brain to be thinking about anything that's important to you. All you can think about is me and my life. Do you see how much of an ego boost that is when you actually break it down? Your whole life is dedicated to me and my life and what I'm doing. So much so that if I don't show you exactly what I'm doing 24 hours of the day, your whole world is going to fall apart. Okay? And subconsciously, I now realize the only way you could be presenting yourself that way, and the only way you could be so much of a Sherlock Holmes chasing around every single little Scooby-Doo clue, is if you had little value, little to no value, or if I was the most important thing in your life. You see how this desperate thing all comes, it comes from the same two conclusions and realizations that men have subconsciously. Either that you have nothing going for you, or I am, as the man, the most important thing in your life, that you would drop everything just for me. Either way, it comes across as desperate, and either way, the men begin to say to themselves, well, I don't need to do anything for her or for this relationship. It's unnecessary. Look how needy and desperate she is for me already. Look how much she chases after me already. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. If you are Sherlock Holmes in your relationship or your situationship, you are the one chasing. Okay? Think about this again. Like I said, do you think his dream girl is sitting on the phone watching his car drive from home up until the place that he said he was going to go? Or do you think his dream girl has way more responsibilities and things to do in her own life that she can't be concerned with whether or not the car has gone from point A to point B in exactly 23 minutes, which is how long it should take him to get from the place he said he was going to the place he was coming from? Okay? And the reason I say this is because I want you to be aware of how your actions are being perceived by other people, that you can actually start adjusting your approach. That way you're not being perceived as a desperate person. I don't want that for you, because when you start being perceived as a desperate girl, a desperate woman, that's when the men begin mistreating you, because they realize they don't need to treat you with respect. They don't need to put their best foot forward. They don't need to be as presentable and respectful as possible. Okay? So what you're going to do now for the future, if you don't want to look desperate, you cannot be Sherlock Holmes. And I know for some of you, it's very difficult to even peep the information and not say anything. So my advice to you would be to not even bother yourself viewing that information, that you don't feed that monster. Okay. The reason I say don't feed that monster is because it becomes like an addiction. Once you start checking up on it 1, 2, 3 times and you make it a habit, every single time he goes out, every single little thing, you're looking for all of these clues all the time. And each and every time you go to that Instagram, you go to that WhatsApp status, you go to the Snapchat to see if it's... Tell me if you've ever done that. Be honest with me right now. I know listen, I know how things go and I know what we actually do in the real world. Tell me if you've ever gone on your romantic partner's Snapchat streak to check if his Snapchat streak has went up since the last time he texted you, or since the last time he messaged you, or since he went out. Tell me, be so for real. I know how you're actually living. Okay. I'm not some old man that talks about relationships as they existed in the 1980s. I know how we actually do things nowadays. Okay? I see a lot of people saying guilty. I'm triggered. Okay? I know what's actually happening. You need to stop that. Stop that. Why? Even because you're probably thinking, but he's not seeing that. How would he know that I'm checking that? It doesn't matter. He's not going to know that I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm just checking up on it, and he'll have no way of knowing about it. The result is still the same, because you're feeding that monster that is constantly looking for all of these clues and thinking you see, the thing about it is that becomes an addiction in itself, where you spend all of your time and energy and focus on someone else's life instead of thinking about what your needs are for yourself. And then you wonder why your relationships feel so draining. You wonder why your situationships take so much out of you. You wonder why you're constantly in a position where you feel like you constantly give and give and give to your romantic partners or those guys, and all they do is take from you. Because think about it. How can you possibly focus any time or energy on yourself when all you're thinking about is following all the Scooby-Doo clues around and trying to put all of these puzzle pieces together 24/7? See, your life is not even about you anymore. Your life becomes about him and everything he's doing and who he's talking to and who he's spending time with. And you have no space, time, or energy to focus on yourself. And so you do nothing for yourself. You do nothing for your growth. You do nothing for your happiness. And so who ends up depressed? Who ends up unhappy? Who ends up drained? You do. Because rather than investing in yourself and giving that energy and focus to yourself and fulfilling yourself, you're draining yourself, right? And neglecting yourself by putting all of that energy into him instead. That's why I say it's like feeding a monster. Because whether or not he's able to figure out that you're checking the thing or you're looking at the thing or you're paying attention to the thing, the idea and the result is still the same, because you feed that monster and all you can think about is what he's doing, right? Where he's at, who he's talking to, rather than focusing that energy on yourself. You only have 100% of your time and energy. I'm not saying you should never invest it in other people. You should invest it only in the right people. And you should be making sure, even as you're in a relationship, you never stop investing in yourself and filling up your own cup. Okay? Because the moment you stop filling up your own cup, that's when you get into that desperate, needy state where you're always needing validation. You're always needing approval. You can't be on your own at all for any period of time. And all that does for him is stop him from being able to desire you or want to pursue you, because there's no space for him to desire you. You're always there and you're always in need of him. Okay? I know that's painful to hear for some of you, but I want you to understand it's the truth. He can never miss you if you're always present. He can never desire you if you're stuck on him like glue. Doesn't work like that. Okay? So being Sherlock Holmes is a no-no. That's going to make you come across as desperate. You cannot feed that. You cannot even be bothered to check that. And if you know you have a serious problem, mute him. Mute him so you don't have to check the stories. You don't have to check the Snapchat, and you're not triggered every time he posts. Mute it if you have to, if you know it's that serious for you. But don't feed that monster. And definitely don't be interrogating him, asking him, where did you go this day? What did you do this time? What did you do this and that? You can, I'm not saying don't call things out and don't be observant. Be very observant. But be a silent detective. Be an undercover cop where all you do is sit back and observe, play along with the character that you can continue gathering information, and you'll get way better answers that way anyways than you ever would interrogating someone. I promise you. Okay? I'm not saying don't try to figure out things, and I'm not saying don't, if you're suspicious of something, don't try and get answers. But what I am saying is don't feed the monster of constantly being focused on everything that he's doing, and definitely don't turn your relationship into a 24/7 interrogation. You can get answers while observing, sitting back, and relaxing. Trust me, when you observe and you observe well, the truth will come to you still. Okay? Right? Elaine says, I deleted Snapchat months ago. I realized it was taking my peace. You know, it's funny. Each and every one of us has our own individual app. You guys can say in the chat what your own individual app is. When I say your own app, just the app that you spend the most time on that will literally zap your energy and zap your happiness or zap just your time in a day. Okay, whatever it may be, each one of us has, it's kind of unique to each person, your own individual app that like just you just spend way too much time on and way too much time paying attention to. For me, my my Vice app is Instagram. If I delete Instagram, I can actually get so much more done in the day. I can have so much more focus. I can have so much more clarity. For even though I post on TikTok, for me, it's not TikTok for whatever reason. It's not WhatsApp and definitely not Facebook. Okay. But for Instagram, I can waste hours. Okay. It's actually really good to identify which application is your application, because then you can know if you're ever having relationship issues, if you're ever having issues with being Sherlock Holmes, you can know the first app you should be deleting. Okay. The first app you should be getting rid of. That was exactly what, who was it that said that earlier? It was exactly what, I can't see him. I can't see who it was that said that earlier. But it was exactly what someone just said, was about, the Instagram was taking away the, it was the Snapchat, was taking away the peace. I know for some of you guys, it's Snapchat. Okay. And I've been there, right? Which is why one of the advantages of us talking and being all around the same age is I actually know what you're really going through in like modern day life. So it's a little bit more directly applicable to you and your lifestyle. I know some of you are a little bit older, so you're like, who uses Snapchat anymore? Do people do that? That's weird, right? Yeah, people use Snapchat. Trust me. Okay, so Textaholic was number 1. Asking for attention was someone number 2, begging for it really, and Sherlock Holmes was number 3. Number 4, we have being way too agreeable. Okay, we kind of touched on this yesterday and why that can be so detrimental. But I want you to understand, as you become so agreeable, and I saw some amazing messages in my comments on YouTube. I try my best to read through all the YouTube comments. Where people talked about, literally guys have told me being so agreeable is so boring. They want you to have an opinion. And it's true. If guys are smart enough to communicate that to you, that's so awesome, because it's true. And a lot of guys don't even realize how unattractive it is to be around a girl that's constantly just in agreement with you, that they don't even know how to tell you that they find that unattractive to you, because they don't realize that that's what it is. They just know they don't feel stimulated around you. You have to understand, part of us as men being with a woman and being with a partner is that is a different person than us. That is a whole individual outside of us, right? If I wanted to be with myself, I would be single. If I wanted to hang out with me, I would sit in my room. Okay? I say that to say, when they get into relationships, don't think of it as a crime that you have opinions or thoughts or perspectives that are in disagreements with him. Don't think of it as a crime, especially that if he treats you in a way that you find inappropriate or you find disrespectful, that you shouldn't speak up for yourself because you just want to be agreeable or peaceful, right? That you don't want to cause drama, right? You don't want him to not like you because you're speaking up for this thing, and maybe he doesn't think that it's disrespectful, so you don't want to bother stirring the pot. Okay? There's no need to try your best to be agreeable, that you never have opinions or take stances different from his. And there's definitely no need to be so agreeable that you don't stand up for yourself and set your own boundaries. Okay? That's one of the main things, is that some of you are so you're so in so much seek of being likable that you try your best to be agreeable. And so because you want to be agreeable, you don't want to cause conflict by speaking up for the ways someone has treated you badly. Tell me if that's any of you in the chat where you don't like conflict. So if someone does something to you, you're likely not going to speak up about it just to avoid the conflict of having to address them. Okay? It can be very detrimental to your success in the relationship, and it makes you look very desperate. Okay? Very desperate. Because people can sense that after a while, that you're just an empty shell that will constantly agree, constantly be always trying to keep peace, constantly trying to be as likable as possible. You don't want to have opinions. You don't want to have perspective. You don't want to set boundaries because you want to be likable. And all that tells me is your desire to be so likable stems from the fact that you're desperate for attention and validation from me, that you need this relationship to work with me, that you have no other options except for me, that I'm the best you can ever do, that you're trying your absolute hardest, that I will like you as much as you like me. Obviously, the men aren't writing this in their notebook, but these are the types of feelings they start to feel subconsciously, which is why they respond to you in those particular ways, which is why they start pulling back from you as you begin to show these behaviors and approach the relationship this particular way. Okay? All right? Right? ABC says have your own personality and mind. I 100% agree. Okay. Boundaries are attractive to masculine men because you value yourself and respect yourself highly. I 100% agree. When men are thinking about the wife they want to spend the rest of their life with, they love when women have boundaries and have respect for themselves. Men can be a lot like dogs. When you train them to understand the difference between right and wrong and you train them that you mean business, they go, oh, you're one of the girls that means business and actually respects yourself. Okay, I respect you now too. I respect that you have boundaries. I respect that you stand on business. I respect that what you say you're about, you're actually about, and you won't move for anyone. I actually respect that. Okay, right? Now, that doesn't mean they won't test you. They're going to test you because listen, guys are very used to meeting girls that won't set boundaries. And even the girls that try to set boundaries were also used to girls pretending to set boundaries only to break those rules or regulations or standards when you apply just a little bit of pressure. So they're always going to apply a little bit of pressure to you to see if you're one of those girls who has fake boundaries and fake standards, or if you're actually someone who has real boundaries and real standards. Okay. That's why I always advise you guys to be looking forward to the first time you can fight with a guy. I know this is a little bit sidetracked, but just on a side note, you should be looking forward in your relationships and your situationships to the first time you can have your big fight with a guy and show him that you mean business. Okay? Because it's very good to set that groundwork early, that if he doesn't act the right way, if he doesn't treat you the right way, if he doesn't be respectful in the way he approaches you, that there won't be access to you. Okay? That's why I think, that first fight can be a really good show, not tell, a good show of that. All right. So number one, we had being a textaholic. Number two was asking for attention. Number three, we had being Sherlock Holmes. Number four was being way too agreeable. Number five, let's also discuss being way too forgiving. Okay. Now, kind of how we mentioned with boundaries. When people see that you will forgive them for anything, no matter what it is, because you just don't want to do the job of addressing them appropriately, right? And specifically to what they did to you, people realize that you're willing to forgive, not because you're a kind person, but simply because you just don't have the cojones. Someone said speak Spanish. The cojones just means the balls. Or the backbone or the spine to stand up for what you believe in, what you want, what you think you deserve. It communicates to me that you don't think you're actually deserving of much, which is why you allow me to treat you anyway, and you forgive me regardless of how I treat you. It's an amazing feeling for me because I realize, once again, I don't have to put my best foot forward in the relationship. I don't even have to bother respecting you. I don't have to bother acting accordingly. I don't have to bother doing the right things. I don't have to bother saying the right things. I just have to sit back, do whatever it is I want to do, whenever it is I want to do it, and not worry about how you feel about it. I get to live my life only concerned with my own thoughts, feeling, and perspective, and never have to think about what you want. How you do life is how you do relationships. So what do you think happens for the rest of the relationship? He's never concerned with what you want or what you need because it doesn't matter. Whether you're sad, you'll forgive. Whether you're happy, doesn't matter, because all that matters is how he feels. Even if you do feel upset, even if you do feel slighted, even if you do feel disrespected, you're just going to forgive anyways, and there won't be any consequences for it regardless. And so the moment the men come with that mindset and that approach and that understanding, they immediately start treating you different, right? As they believe you're more and more desperate, they begin changing the way they approach you and the way they treat you more and more, until finally they're treating you completely differently than they were at the beginning of the relationship. How he treats you when he respects you is going to be very different from how he treats you when he has no respect for you. Okay? Very different. Gabby says, so should I never forgive? That's a great question. So when I talk about being forgiving and how that can come across as too desperate, I don't, like with anything else, I don't want you guys to focus on trying to be one extreme. So that doesn't mean that you never forgive people ever for anything that they do and never give them a chance to change or adjust their behavior. That also doesn't mean you forgive them for every little thing. There's a balance in between there where you stand your ground, and if people cross your boundaries, first of all, you stand your ground and you set the boundaries and expectations before they even happen, because a lot of you are going into your relationships and you're hoping that there will never be any conflict. You're hoping that this will be so perfect that you never have to address anything. You're hoping that he'll be so amazing and such an amazing man and boyfriend that he'll never have anything to apologize for, or you'll never have anything to forgive him for. Rather than going into the relationship saying, I know these are hard boundaries for me. I know, regardless of who you are, I know I'm not going to work with this. I'm not dealing with this. I'm not accepting any of these things. So before they even become problems, you come right out and you let him know what your standards and expectations are. Okay? That he can be understanding, hey, I shouldn't be crossing these boundaries. And letting him know that there are consequences for crossing those boundaries, and not just letting him know, but letting him actually see that. Okay? Because the words aren't enough. What's even more important is the actions of having him see. That's why I say, be looking forward to the fights and the disagreements, or the times that he's going to do something that upset you that really crosses a boundary, because then you can show him that you mean business. Okay, so you're not forgiving everything, but you're also not allowing people to have a chance to adjust behavior, right? Gabby says, at what time should boundaries be mentioned? You know, I actually think when we talk about mentioning boundaries, I think it's better to show people your boundaries and how you deal with crossing boundaries. So like I said, as time goes on in the relationship, they're going to do things that upset you. They're going to do things that cause problems. They're going to do things that require forgiveness. Not everything is going to be the biggest thing in the world. When they're smaller, I want you to address them with action. Okay? So allow them to come naturally as they go along. Because like I said before, there's a lot of girls that talk, guys too, that talk a big game, but aren't actually about a big game. So the best way for him to see that you mean business is to actually experiencing you meaning business, even if it's in a smaller example or a smaller like microcosm. It doesn't have to be a macro huge thing, a huge blow up, right? It can be something smaller like, hey, let's say you don't like it when he tells you that, he's gonna pick you up at 10 p.m., but he always ends up coming late at 11 p.m. Okay? And let's say one day he does that. He comes at 11 p.m. and he doesn't tell you where he's going to be or whatever. And, he messes up the plans. You might say one day, look, I told you what time to be here. I told you I'm not dealing with someone who's going to show up at, 11 p.m. when you said the plan was to be for 10 p.m. You can go back home. I'm not going out with you. Okay? You don't need to keep repeating yourself over and over. This is a boundary. This is a boundary. You let him know. Once you see that he's done it, you let him know, I don't appreciate this. Okay? And then the next time he does it, you let him feel that you don't appreciate that. That's the 1-2 punch. The first time he does it, you let him know you don't appreciate it. And then the next time he does it, you let him feel that you don't appreciate it. It's the perfect way for him to understand you mean business. Okay? Even if it means going against the grain. So even if it means he comes at 11 p.m. and he's finally ready and all this good stuff, and then you let him know once 11 p.m. rolls up and he actually finally rolls up late, and you let him know, hey, I'm not coming out. I already talked to you about this. So you can go back home. If you wanted to go out with me, you would have been here on time. Right? When you do that, even though it's going to feel like, he might not like me. How's he going to react to that? Maybe I'm causing problems. Maybe I should just be more easygoing. Maybe I don't have to do the most. Right? When you start thinking like that, all that's going to happen is you're going to go back to trying to be agreeable, and he's not going to respect you. Because in reality, even though that can feel like a lot of friction to do that, when you finally do it, he's going to respect you a lot more for it. Okay? Right? Ivy says they are all used to getting their way. It's crazy. I told you guys, when men come into relationships, okay, think about this. If there's so many of you, and this community is growing so large, you guys are so amazing. If there's so many of you that have these similar experiences with guys, think about what the guys have become accustomed to in terms of the way they approach or go about relationships. So when they become used to being able to walk all over girls, when they become used to being able to, like Ivy said, get their way all the time, or used to being able to cross the boundaries of girls who say they have boundaries, but when you apply a little bit of pressure, their boundaries go out the window. Right? They just believe that that's how the world is, and that there's nothing ever different than that, and that they can always get their way exactly how they want it. Except for when they finally meet you, or an evolved version of you that's not going to deal with that, then they actually say, whoa, you're actually different, right? You're not just saying you're different like all the other girls who say I'm so different. You're actually different. Because when you say you want to be respected, you actually respect yourself, and you actually expect respect from me. Right? And they'll be in shock that you're actually about what you say you're about. That you actually go about life the way you say you want to go about life. They'll be shocked, but you'll actually present yourself as different from all the other girls. Not like one of the 1,000 girls that he swipes left or right on. Okay. That's why I always tell you guys, don't be on the dating apps, because I know for you have such an amazing, awesome, good, carefree, bubbly personality, but you think you're so much different than all the other girls, but you seem a lot like all the other girls when you're on the dating app with 1,000 other women. Okay. That's another thing for another day. So we have textaholic, asking for attention, begging for attention. The Sherlock Holmes thing. Then we have being too agreeable, being too forgiving. Next, we have trying too hard. Okay, some of you are, just to put it blankly, are trying too hard. When I say trying too hard, you're like on your hands and knees, scrubbing the floor in your maid outfit, looking up at him saying, can you see how hard I'm scrubbing the floor? Does it not look shiny and squeaky clean? Do you not see that I'm the perfect wife for you? And you would love to be in a relationship with me because I'm the perfect maid. You see how clean I scrub these floors? I've spent morning, noon, and night making everything spick and span for you. Can't you see how amazing I am? Can't you see how much you would want to be in a relationship with me because of how well I scrub these floors? And he's looking at you and he's going, I mean, the floors are clean, but it's cool that you scrub the floors. I don't really feel myself wanting to be with you anymore because you can scrub the floors for an entire day. That doesn't really turn me on. It doesn't really make me feel like pursuing you more because you're scrubbing the floors like a maniac. Right? Because the natural inclination is that as you try more to be seen and be heard and be noticed by him, that maybe that will help him actually see you, hear you, and notice you. When in reality, the more you try to be noticed and be seen by him, the more he realizes this is all a desperate attempt at getting his attention and validation. And so what does he do? He takes several steps back because he comes to the realization that he is probably the most important thing in your life, which is why you're trying so hard for him. I talked about this really in detail in another live show I did about how men bait you into chasing them and how they basically reverse the script on you, right? It's the same idea. As you begin trying so hard, the men meet you, they realize how hard you're going to try for them. And what do? They take a step back knowing that you're going to continue to push forward. And lo and behold, after a while, you're the one chasing them, literally chasing after them, being the man, courting them, trying to seek their approval, trying to show them that you're the man, basically, that they will want to be with you. And it is very unattractive. All they can think about after that is how little they want to be in a relationship with you because of how hard you're trying. I gave you guys the example of the juggling on the sidewalk while you set yourself on fire, right? Earlier. And how that's not actually going to make you feel like you like me anymore. It's actually going to make you a little bit embarrassed about how much I am into you and how desperate I am just for you to like me. It's like me coming up to you and asking you to pay for the product I'm offering. Or sorry, it's like coming up to you and saying, I'll pay you for the product I'm offering. Well, then it must not be a very good product if you're telling me you'll pay me for it. Don't be out here trying so hard for these men, thinking that that's going to help him see you more. That's going to help him appreciate you more. That's going to help him want you more. It really will not. It really will not. Okay? I always tell you guys, the best position for you to be in is to be sitting back and receiving, relaxing, and observing. Okay? You're receiving and observing. RRO. Receive, relax, observe, and listen. RROL. We'll come up with the proper structure for the acronyms. Okay? Receive, relax, observe, and listen. Or listen and observe, whichever one you want to do. Okay? Because when you're doing that, you won't be trying so hard, which is good, and you'll allow him to do the job of pursuing you. You won't come across as desperate or needy. You'll come across as secure and confident, which is exactly what makes you the most attractive. His dream girl is not going to lack confidence because that would defeat the purpose of it being his dream girl. You don't dream about the girl who's desperate for you and desperate for your attention. You dream about the girl who is unattainable. You dream about the girl who is perfect in every way, that if you could just have a conversation with her, if you could just be able to meet her, if you could just go on one date with her. You don't dream about the girl who's ready to scrub the floor on her hands and knees in desperate seek of your attention and approval. Okay? I'm not saying that to make fun of you or make you feel bad about yourself, but I want you to understand how this makes you be perceived. Okay? Because what you're perceived as and what other people are receiving from you is going to drastically change how they approach you and how they respond to you. And I told you guys, and I tell you guys all the time, none of this about having a man's attention, right? Having him chase after you, having him pursue you, having him want you, having him respect you, and really treat you how you want a relationship to be treated. None of this is about how big your dump truck is. None of this is about how voluptuous your yitties are. None of this is even about how amazing your supermodel smile is or how small your waist is, right? It's all about the mind and the emotions and understanding how to approach a situation that people receive you a particular way, that you elicit particular responses from those people in the way that you want them to respond. Okay? Linda said earlier in the YouTube chat, she said, I so wish someone had taught me these lessons earlier in life. Meanwhile, men teaching young men about young women. Right? It's, technology is amazing now. Technology is amazing now. Okay. ABC said earlier, the feminine is receiving and being, the masculine is doing and oppressing. I 100% agree. Okay. That's the natural state where everyone feels in their right role, I should say. Okay. There's nothing wrong with everyone being in their appropriate role for a straight heterosexual relationship. I don't know how anyone else does their relationships. I don't speak on that because that's not my business. Okay. But for the men and the women, right? Those are the natural roles that we feel most comfortable embodying. Okay. Right? Very, very important. Am I making sense to you guys so far? Are we on the same page with each other? So number one, we had textaholic, then we had asking for attention, then was being Sherlock Holmes, then was being way too agreeable. Then we talked about forgiveness, way too much of it, trying too hard. And number 7, we have always being free. Availability. Constantly available. We talk about this quite a lot because it is actually really important. And it can really drastically change how desperate a man perceives you as or not. The same way we kind of discussed with being a textaholic. When you're always available on text, on phone call, you're always available to hang out. All that communicates to him is that you must not have anything else to do. Think about that. Like, just step outside of yourself for a second and really think about the logic train that must flow when you're always available all the time. Like, you're available to hang out with right now. You're available to hang out with in an hour. You're available to hang out tomorrow. You're available to hang out. Like, any day you want to hang out, you can just call me or text me and let's hang out. I got time. You don't really, even if it's your work schedule, I'll change my shift. Even if it's just like anything, you're available for him. And so what does that communicate to him? Either I'm the most important thing in your life by far, which is very not good, especially at the beginning of a relationship when you guys aren't even dating yet. Or it communicates to him that you must not have any other things going on in your life that requires your time and attention other than me. Which is why you're always available. That's the same reason why I always tell you to not be saying yes to last minute hangouts, to not be saying yes to when he says, let's go out right now. You know what I mean? Or what are you doing right now? It's 2 a.m. I just finished at the club. Are you free right now? Let's have a heart to heart. Can I come over to your place right now? Can you come over to my place right now? Can you be here in 1 hour? You better not act like DoorDash. Excuse me. Do you hear me? You better not act like DoorDash. You start acting like DoorDash, he will treat you like DoorDash. Do you ever go on the DoorDash app except for the times that you need food? No. You only click on that DoorDash app when you need food. Every other time that you don't need food, you don't open the app. It's the same way you'll get treated if you start acting like DoorDash. He will only hit you up or talk to you when he needs food, i.e. Squirtle. Any other time he is not in need of Squirtle, he will not even open your application. He won't text you back. He won't call you. He won't bother to hang out with you. Nothing. Until the next time he's hungry. Do you know what I mean by hungry? Do not be DoorDash. You'll get treated like DoorDash if you act like DoorDash. Force him, right? And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with telling him, I do enjoy spending time with you. I do enjoy hanging out with you. However, my schedule and my life does not allow me to say yes to things the day of. My schedule and my life does not allow me to say, oh yeah, sure, we can do this right now in an hour. I have things to do. I have responsibilities. I have other things that I also care about that are passions of mine, that are important to me, that must be done in my life. While you are amazing, you are not the be all and end all of my life. That's fine. If you want access to me, if you want to see me, if you want to spend more time with me, you can. But that time has to be allocated and scheduled in advance, well in advance, that I can make sure I'm actually free to spend that time with you. Otherwise, I won't be. Very simple concept. Because when you are always free, like I said, the men come to the conclusion that you either have nothing else going on in your life, or they're by far the most important thing to you, that you will drop anything to be with them. Either way, it doesn't make them respect you anymore. It doesn't make them value you anymore. It doesn't make them see you as someone they should be pursuing or want to be in a relationship anymore. Because why would I pursue the thing that has no value? Why would I pursue the thing that nobody cares about? Why would I pursue the person who has nothing but time to spend with me because no one else wants to spend time with them and they have nothing else to do? You come across quite uninteresting, quite undervalued, right? Quite basic, quite desperate when you do that. Does that make sense? So you should always be forcing men to schedule you in advance. I would say at least 3 to 5 days. At least 3 to 5 days. That's what you should be doing in terms of getting men to schedule you in advance. There should never be a point where he can hit you up same day and hang out with you same day. Not a chance. Also, it doesn't even allow him to build anticipation for you. We talked about anticipation in a couple other live streams. But you do not want to be free 24/7, that you're always available to him all the time. Okay? So, do you guys have any questions about what we just discussed before we hop into the Discord? By the way, for those of you who have a question for me, you can hit the Discord. If you're in the YouTube, you go down into the link in my description and you hit the Discord. You can ask me for some relationship advice. If you're on TikTok and you have a situation that you want me to help you with, you can go on to my link in my bio on TikTok on my profile and you can ask your question in the relationship advice section there. Okay? Right? Simone says, I have a question. How do I ask it? How do you ask what? How do you ask what? I'm confused. Okay. Anitra said earlier, she said, why pursue something that requires no effort? I 100% agree, right? It's unnecessary to pursue something that requires no effort. Okay. Brittany says, what if you're confrontational and they're avoidant? Well, you know, I talked to you guys. First of all, I don't think that there's ever an issue addressing things that you want answers to, or there's never a problem addressing people when they cross your boundaries. Okay, never. That's never an issue. So you can be confrontational, but obviously there's a balance there. You don't need to be confrontational about everything, but you definitely should be comfortable addressing your problems and your issues. Okay. And being an avoidant doesn't mean that you don't address problems. You know, that attachment style has nothing to do with your ability or lack of ability to address issues or problems. Okay, right? Earth Angel says, I think it's also not a game. Be authentic, live your life. You know, it really all depends. You see, when people come to Players Club, they're like, oh, but this sounds a lot like games. It sounds a lot like games. I mean, sure, we could describe it as a game. I don't consider it a game. I just consider it right. And I think that everything we discuss and we talk about, you can apply to your own life while still staying true to yourself. Okay. I don't think you necessarily, the only way to apply it to your own life is by changing who you are as a person. However, it is very important that you understand that the actions that you take will be perceived and received by others, which will affect how they treat and respond to you. Okay. Simone says, I wanted to know why men complain about how the personality of a person they only want the Squirtle from when the issues has nothing to do with him getting the Squirtle? I'm not quite sure what you. So I'm sorry. Let me read that. No men complain about how the personality of a person they only want the Squirtle from. I mean, complaining about the personality of a person. I mean, that can mean many things. If they only wanted Squirtle from you, they could just be complaining about you because it's so painful to be around you, even though they know they're only there for Squirtle. Right? Two things can be true. They might be only there for Squirtle, but it might be painful to be around you. Not you specifically, but I'm just saying in general. You know what I mean? Anitra says Thomasin is right when he says you can play the game or get played. It's up to you. Anitra, me and you, we on the same page. We like Siamese twins, right? You can either play the game or you can get played. You can either do the manipulating or you can get manipulated. The choice is yours. I always tell you guys, I don't know everything. I'm not a genius. I'm just a single human being with a single life experience. Everything I say might be BS. I might have no idea what I'm talking about, okay? I don't have too much ego to admit that I can be wrong. Maybe I'm misinformed. Maybe the way you've been living your life and doing everything is perfectly fine. But what I will say is if you find yourself here or you find yourself in a place where you think that the way you've been going about things has not been working in your favor and or has not yielded you the results that you want to see, then maybe it's time to acknowledge that you need a change in your approach. Because if you were to just keep doing the same thing, you would get the same result, right? Base Beauty says, nah, I've been played once and that's all. I'm gonna be the player. That's why we are in the Players Club, so that you can learn how to play the game to get the results that you want. Okay. Earthy says you definitely know what you're talking about. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Earthy. Okay. Let's look at the Discord, because we have a whole bunch of questions to get to in the Discord. So it's Discord time. It's Discord time. It's Discord time. It's Discord time. Okay, it's Discord time. Let's get to the Discord time. It's Discord time. It's Discord time. Okay, it's Discord time. Let's get to the Discord. We have so many questions to do on Discord. Let me bring this down for you guys here. Let me just adjust my camera quickly for you guys. We have so many questions to get on Discord. Oh my goodness. This is fine. Okay, let's get into the Discord here. Let me see if I can bring this up on here. Oh, no, that's too big. We'll bring it here. All right. So, look at this. See, I love this. You guys, I guess screenshots has become the new thing. So I see a lot of people using screenshots now. Quite interesting. So we're in for a treat today. Number one, we first have, let's see who we have here. We have Bebe. Okay. So Bebe says, I'm dealing with nonchalant men. Okay. Hi, Tomisin. I love your work and I love your advice. It's amazing. I'm talking to this guy. He is 32. I'm just 19. Ew. But that's a story for another day. I started speaking to him through a dating app. I'm already mad that you're 19. We'll go on. And so I didn't even see the dating app thing. Okay, this is getting really bad. And solely just to get over my ex. You have an ex at 19 that you need to get over. Okay, I don't want to lose my mind here. Which I still haven't gotten over. My ex lied to me about having a child with an ex. Are you 19 or 95? Which, sorry, did I read 19 right? Okay, I think I read 19 right. Okay, your ex has a child. All right. So we have been on no contact since March. Okay. When I started speaking to my current boyfriend, I didn't really have any intention of being serious with him. I mean, he's 32, and just wanted to take my mind off my ex. However, after having pineapples, I fell in love. Really? I mean, you're 19, so of course you thought you fell in love after having pineapples. Okay, I want to know different ways to make him jealous because he is quite nonchalant at times. For example, I told him that it was okay for him to cheat. Let's go on. Because I suspected that he was cheating. His phone is always locked. His response was, ha ha ha, you know, you're not okay with that. So I'm assuming that happened over text. Or okay. Uh, like it's tiring to squeeze out the nonchalant act out of him. How do I make him release who he's with and how much he wanted me at the beginning? Okay. This is part of the reason why I don't answer questions for people who are under 20 years old, because then we just start going into la la land. Okay, baby, I'm gonna give you a dose of reality here. Okay, you're not in love with this man. Okay, you had pineapples with him. That doesn't mean that you're in love with him. And if you feel like you fell in love with him because you had pineapples with him, that's called lust. Okay, baby girl. Right. So that's number one. Let's get out of that. First of all, you're 19 and he's 32. Let's be so for real. You are young and impressionable. So everything you feel and think about him is really based on the fact that he's older than you and you feel like he knows more than you. The fact that he would be with a 19-year-old, okay, speaks to the fact that he probably struggles to, because 32 is not that old, okay? So he can find 30-year-old women or at least 25-year-old women. He probably struggles to find women that actually like him who are his age, or he enjoys having control over young and impressionable women. Either way, it's not really good for you because he can easily manipulate you into doing things that you think you want, but you don't actually want those things. He wants you to want those things. So, in this situation, look at the type of things you're. I don't want to be mean. You're telling him that it's okay for him to cheat, thinking that this is all like a joke and has no consequences because you're just having fun. You don't realize that. I know that you're young, so I'm giving you this advice so you can be thinking about this for the future. You don't realize that everything you say and do in the present is actually having an effect, whether negatively or positively, on future you. And in your life, the less time you spend thinking about future you, the worse your life ends up being. So I know you think it was innocent and fun to say it's okay for him to cheat and ha ha ha, you can cheat, ha ha ha, you can do whatever. But what you're actually doing is you're setting the precedent for the rest of your relationship. So as you continue to become more and more invested in this man and in this relationship, you're going to realize that you're actually not okay with him cheating on you. As most people wouldn't be, unless you're a swinger, if that's your thing, okay? But for the most part, most people wouldn't be. And you're going to realize that this thing that you said is not actually how you really feel. The problem is when you say that to a 32-year-old man, he says, bingo, now I have it exactly where I want it, and I'm never going to let go of this. Because when he starts messing up in the future, now he gets to go back to this, whether it be a conversation or this in person or this a text message. He gets to go back to this and said, I only did it because you said you were okay with cheating. I only did it because you said you were okay with all this. I only did it because I thought this was cool for you. And you're going to realize that all the trauma it caused you, right? You're actually not okay with it anymore. The problem is by that time, it'll be way too late because all he'll be doing is coming right back to this thing that you said, right? And using it as an excuse to continue doing exactly what he wants. You've basically told him, I'm young, impressionable. I have no boundaries. I will be the fun girl that you can do whatever you want with. And don't even worry about what I care about, what I want, what I think is wrong, what I think is disrespectful. Because if you're telling him that he can cheat on you, then okay, after that, what's disrespectful then? Right? You're telling him, don't have any boundaries, don't have any expectations, just treat me how you want to treat me, which is fine if you don't care about how you want to be treated. But this is why I say all your decisions and choices will affect future you. So this was a mistake. Okay. Now, you saying that you want to keep him less nonchalant and you want to get him to be more invested in you, that only happens when you pull away from people. Okay. And telling him you can cheat doesn't speak to your confidence within yourself or your confidence in your own value. It actually speaks to a lack of confidence in your value and a lot of insecurity. Because for you to say you can cheat on me and I will still stay with you, that's actually on the top 7 things that make you look dumb and desperate. Because truthfully, baby, I hate to burst your bubble, you look dumb and desperate and ready to be taken advantage of to come out and say that. Truthfully, I the reason I have to say it in a mean way is because I need you to understand what you've really done here. You're not going to have a man pursue you or chase after you when you're telling him, please cheat on me and do whatever you want. Don't have boundaries, don't have expectations or standards. That man will not be, because what you're trying to do, getting him out of being nonchalant, he will not be. He doesn't need to be. He doesn't need to pursue you. He doesn't need to worry about you. He doesn't need to keep track of you, keep eyes on you. He doesn't need to think about what you're doing. It doesn't matter. When you tell him he can cheat on you, why would he care about anything you're doing? Clearly, you care so much about him, you're not willing to leave him for any situation or circumstance, okay? All bad, baby, all bad. Next, we have B. I didn't mean to do that. B asks, being chased part 2. Okay, so this is a continuation of something. Hey Tomisin, I watched your stream. Thanks for answering my question. I think you're definitely right about me having masculine energy. I've always been that way my whole life. I'm definitely more on the dominant side in romantic relationships, and that makes me feel comfortable and empowered. Oh, sorry, for those of you who don't know, B's situation was that she doesn't like being chased after. She actually enjoys making the first move or all the moves. Honestly, I have never once thought of being pampered or being a baby girl in a relationship. I'm also someone who isn't that emotional and very logical. I think that why I tend to be attracted to the opposite of what I am, more feminine, submissive men. The idea of a guy trying to take care of me and stuff, like that kind of feels like a weak mindset when I am a strong and independent woman. I am educated and a goal-oriented woman who mostly just needs a supporter in terms of a romantic partner. Every time I try to change the way I am to be more feminine, it doesn't work and feels like as if I'm going against the grain. I have experienced a lot of other women and men shaming me because of my more masculine personality. Do you have any advice for women who are more dominant and independent? Also, do you think the role reversal in my scenario makes sense and is okay? A submissive man and a dominant woman. Yeah. So B, I don't think that what I said last time, it was not about trying to shame you for being for being dominant. all I was saying is that if you know that you enjoy being the dominant, being the pursuer, then you need to be focused on attracting feminine men. Now, I know I poo-poo feminine men on the show, but that's simply because majority of the women on the show are not seeking out feminine men. They want to be the feminine energy. If you are a dominant woman and you know that's where you like to be and that's where you're comfortable, then you should actively be trying to seek out a feminine man, meaning a man who you're going to be doing the pursuing, you're going to be chasing after, you're going to be doing all the things that we talk about the men should be doing. That's going to be your job. And his job is going to be receiving, observing, listening, and all that good stuff. I'm not saying that, like, I'm not here to tell you, oh, that's a right or wrong thing. If that's how you want to do your relationship, then that's perfectly fine. But if you're going to be the masculine dominant energy, then you need to have your yang. Like, if you're going to yin, someone else has to yang. So that's what you should actively be seeking. A man that can be more submissive, maybe a house husband that will just sit at home and take care of the kids. Whatever it is, right? You're looking for your yang, the yang to your yin, okay, or the yin to your yang, right? So that's what you should actively be pursuing if you know that's the role you're the most comfortable in. Okay? I'm glad you got some clarity though. Next we have IC. IC says details. Okay, she says, hey, I'm back with more details about my situation. So about a month ago, I was on a trip with some friends. On the last night of our staying, we met with a group of mutual friends. And one of them introduced me to this boy. Let's name him X. Okay. We chatted and got along really good. And after a while, let me just bring this down a little bit. Make this a little bit bigger. Put it like this. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the sizing right for you guys. And after we we chatted and got along really good. And after a while of all of us, we went to the club together. In the club, we talked more and more, among other things. He told me he's single. He started buying me drinks after drink after drink, and it was a really good vibe between us. Or maybe I was just drunk. We started to kiss a lot. Oh my God. And he was being cute and romantic in the club. Okay. We got drunk and left the party for a little bit when he told me that I'm so beautiful. Yeah. Because that's when he's going to realize your beauty. 2 a.m. after the club. Okay. That's that he wants to kiss me nonstop and all that crap. And out of the blue, that he wants to have pineapples. You think that was out of the blue? You think that he didn't realize he wanted to have pineapples with you when he saw your dump truck the first time he met you at the beginning of the night? That he wants to have pineapples right away. I told him that that's not going to happen, but he insisted many times and started to act like it. So eventually we got to his place and had pineapples. You see, this is why I tell you, it's funny that I don't read these before we have this discussion. Okay. So this is all my first time reading it. That's why I'm genuinely shocked when I read these things. It's funny that I would just earlier mention to you guys how men will test you because they understand that in the process of girls standing up for their boundaries and setting expectations, right? 99.9% of them with a little bit of applied pressure will crack under pressure. And they will do exactly what it was that they said they wouldn't do. This is like real life, okay? That's why I love having the Discord, so you guys just don't think I'm pulling stuff out of my butt. Like, this is real. And this is exactly an example of that. So, yeah, you talked a big game. I see. We'll get to the rest of your question. But you talked a big game. And after talking a big game, you broke everything that you said you were about and everything that you said you were going to do. So it's actually worse than not saying anything, because it just shows him that you don't mean what you say whatsoever. So anytime in the future where you try to set a boundary, or you try to say, no, I'm not about this, or no, this is not me, or no, I'm not doing that, all he's going to think to himself is a little bit of a pride pressure, and you'll swing the other way. Okay, let's continue on. It was the first time I did pineapples in the same night I met a guy. Okay, it's still a mistake. I instantly regretted doing this, not because it wasn't good. Actually, it felt amazing with him, and surprisingly, I was relaxed. But because I thought I ruined, because I thought I ruined the only chance for him to pursue me, you did, and maybe want a relationship with me, you did. He insisted to sleep at his place. We didn't hug or anything. He didn't even put a single finger on me after. Quite strange. And in the morning, while he was still asleep, I left and did the walk of shame to my accommodation. Him and his friends stayed longer, and me and my friends returned in town that day. He followed me on Instagram, and in the evening, he called me to tell me something about one of his friends. And in the end, he told me he'd call me again when he got back in town. My friend told me the other day that X asked somebody about me, but she was vague. So part 2, after 2 whole weeks, I posted an Instagram story, and he replied with how much he likes my eyes, and we chatted a little. In the end, he told me he wants to show me some photos he took when we met. Okay. But he didn't set up any date. This happened 2 weeks ago. I haven't heard from him since then. I wonder why. Also, 3 weeks ago, when I went out with my friend, she told me that X's friend asked X why he doesn't reach out to me already, because I'm such a good match. Because I'm such a good match for him, and I'm cute and stuff. And the conclusion of X's friend was that X is really dumb for not pursuing me. I get along really good with his friends. Yeah, real good. I know it was a mistake having pineapples with him the same night we met, but we were both drunk. Being drunk is not an excuse. I always tell people that. I used to be someone that used to use that as an excuse too, until I realized it's the same me. So the consequences are the same whether I was drunk or whether I was sober. So I stopped drinking. And I went with the flow. And now I'm curious why it never happens to me to sleep with a guy and then him to realize he wants me as a girlfriend. You're curious about that? You're curious about that? Okay. I'm not being ironic, because this always happens to my friends. And of course, I fell for him, and I don't even know him. You don't know him, and you're lusting for him. There's no real feelings there. I don't know how he is like a human being. I don't know if he would want to have a relationship with me, but I'm so curious to get to know him, and I'm afraid I ruined my only chance. How can I turn things in my favor and make him want to date me if he ever messages me again? By the way, I'm 25 and he's 27. Okay. Thank you, IC, for the detailed message. Okay. IC, I think that in your situation, I mean, come on, we already know you made a mistake by pineapples on the first night, but like, I want us to dive deeper into like, I know that, listen, I know what it feels like to be drunk and having fun and enjoying yourself. I used to be a heavy drinker, a social drinker. I know that when you're in the heat of the moment, you're out at the club, you're dancing, you're having fun, you're vibing, right, with everyone around you or with a particular person. It feels so intense and so passionate, and it feels like everything is just working together, and everything is amazing. Okay? I too have had one night stands. Surprise, surprise, right? So I understand what that's like to feel like you're vibing with someone that same night. I want you to know though that part of the problem with meeting people under the influence is that you get a false sense of understanding as it relates to your connection with that person. You see, similar to how we talk about when you're texting someone all the time and you're trying to get to know them through text, you build your an idea of what you think that person's like over text without actually knowing what that real person's like and without actually knowing what your real connection is like. It's similar to being out drunk with a person and not knowing if you actually have a connection or if it's just the fact that you're drunk. And the reality of it is, most of the time, it's really just that the fact that you guys are drunk. It's a good time. There's a lot of good high energy going on. But you'll realize that by the time, and let me know in the chat if this has ever happened to you, you'll realize that going out with someone, getting drunk with them, and having fun is a very different person that you'll meet then versus the person that you'll meet when you hang out with them on a Tuesday afternoon. And for a lot of you, it will be very disappointing when you realize that the intensity and the passion is not there on a Tuesday afternoon the same way it was when you were with them on Saturday night. The problem with that is the decision to commit to them, which is committing to them when you allow him inside you, has already been made before you could even realize that there was no actual connection there. I know you said you really vibed with him and you felt like he was such a great guy, but that was how you felt about him when you were under the influence. So not only is your judgment a little bit skewed because you were under the influence and your vibe was a little bit different then, but also your experience of him was skewed because you experienced him while he was under the influence. So you don't have a true understanding of what your connection and your vibe is like when both of you are sober. And basing your feelings about him off of the experience while being under the influence is the wrong way to go about building a connection. Rather, it should be the other way around, where you meet him and experience him completely sober and him as well, and then determine what your connection is like through that lens. So that's part of the bigger reason why this was such a mistake. And we already know, because if you've listened to me for any period of time, how do you expect him to view you? He didn't invite you out. His friend invited you out, or however you came there. You're part of the friend group. He met you that night. He vibed with you for a couple of hours. You're making out. If you're making out in the club, that means between the time you started making out and the time he met you, we're talking about maybe 3 hours. Can you imagine walking into a room, like in a different scenario? Can you imagine walking into a room and meeting strangers, and within 3 hours of walking into a room, you're making out with one of those strangers? Like, that's actually what happened here. Not to say I see you're a bad person, but like when you actually put it into that perspective, it sounds insane. I know you were vibing. Trust me, I've been there. I'm not saying I'm better than you. I've done the same thing. But like when you think about how do you expect him now to perceive you when he met you 3 hours ago and now he's making out with you, how do you expect him to see you as anything but a fun time? You've literally shown him you're just a fun time. It's also why it's so important to be aware of what it is you want as a woman. Do you want to be perceived as a wife that when you go, like, do you want your perception outwardly to everyone that you meet to be the perception of a wife? That way, in case you meet someone that you're actually interested in, he'll have the proper perception of you. Because if you're not worried about that, if you're not thinking about that, that's how you fall into IC's position, right? Where you're not thinking about how you want to be perceived by everyone around you. And then you meet someone that you might actually like or vibe with, but now it's too late. You've already shown yourself to be the fun girl. So what are you supposed to do now? Nothing. You can't do anything. Your only option I see is to pull back and hope for the best that he'll be interested in you and start texting you more. Because right now, it honestly just sounds like a casual thing. 2 weeks and he didn't message you after he slept with you, he doesn't care. It might have been good, but he doesn't care. He probably had an interesting story to brag to his friends about, but he doesn't care, right? The only thing that you serve is the ego boost of him being able to say, yo, you know that girl that we brought out that night? I slept with her that same night and it was a wild story. And his boys can go, oh, that's crazy. You did that. Oh, that's crazy. Da-da-da. Once he got that out of it after sleeping with you, he's good on you. And he's damn sure not going to make you his wife. So just let go of that, I see. Just let go of the idea that you're going to get him to make you his wife. Unless he does some super pursuing when you pull back, he won't. Just move forward, truthfully. Okay. Let's see. Next we have Habibi. You guys know in Arabic it's actually supposed to be pronounced Habibti. Okay? But everyone says Habibi. Tidbit for you. Okay? So I, female 20, have been seeing this man, he's 27, for 2 weeks and everything is going smooth. He takes me out on dates whenever he has the chance. Okay, sounds good. Never asked for pineapples. Okay, sounds good. Princess treatment and all that. Okay, we were going good. I'm okay, where's this going? Last week he told me how he is looking for something serious in marriage eventually. Okay, I feel like this is going to take a turn. And we decided to get into a relationship. How does this end badly? I know it seems crazy, but we haven't known each other for that long. How long has it been? Oh. However, he lives and works in France, so I only can see him in real life when he flies back here. And now I won't be able to see him for at least a month. Is this relationship doomed to fail, or can it work? If so, how can I make it work? Because I really like this guy and he has his stuff together. Okay, Habibi. You need to take a chill pill. I'm so serious. If this timeline is correct, you met him for 2 weeks and now he already is trying to get into a relationship with you, like, just relax. Okay? I know it's exciting to meet someone new. I know it's exciting to build a relationship with someone that likes you and is into you and all that good stuff. And I'm not even here to tell you whether or not he's truly interested in you or not. I can't know what he feels in his heart. But what I do know is it's very suspicious that, you know, in 2 weeks, because it's not like you hung out every single day of this 2 weeks. So it's not 2 weeks that you've known him. It's however much time you've actually spent with each other. And in that time period, he's telling you that he wants to actually be in a relationship. And now you guys are actually in one. I don't believe, maybe you think differently, I don't believe you'll actually be able to know the real whole person in the span of 2 weeks. It's actually less than 2 weeks because you haven't been hanging out all 2 weeks. Okay. And I've given the example to you that if before to you, all you guys, if you hang out with someone and you go on 3 dates a week for 3 months straight, that only accumulates to being with them for a total of 4.5 days. So for you, 2 weeks, you've probably only gone on 3, 4, maybe 5 dates for 3 or 4 hours each. You're barely even spending a whole 24 hours with him in person. And so to be able to make a decision about the rest of your relationship and him wanting to marry you in that time is a bit suspicious. Kind of speaks to the idea that maybe he's trying to get you head over heels and feel like you got to push forward and move things really fast, that you can start making decisions really fast without actually thinking about the logic. Okay? And if you're not thinking about the logic and you're going based off solely emotion, you're going to make some bad decisions. Okay? Also, from his perspective, even if he's trying to be genuine to himself and tell you what he actually feels, the problem with that is he doesn't actually yet know the real you and all of you. So what's going to happen is in 3 or 4 months, when he meets you and realizes you're not absolutely perfect and absolutely like he's imagining you to be, because he doesn't actually know you for real. He's going to become disappointed and a lot less interested in you, especially if he lives in France and it's harder to see you. The magic is going to wear off very quickly. Right now, you're shiny and new, which is why he has the most interest in you. But when you stop being shiny and new, will he still be interested in you? So my advice to you is I would tell him to pump the brakes, and I would tell him you want to build this relationship first, and see where things go before you jump right into being boyfriend and girlfriend. And you want to see the consistency before you jump right into that, and let him show you that he can be consistent before you jump right into anything in a serious manner. Okay. Milady, this is an update from Milady. So Milady had a situation before. She's updating us on her situation. Milady says, update since last time. After a couple of dates, he, 21, told me, 21 female, he wanted to be serious and intentional. He's still on vacation in Korea and told me that he's trying to relocate there. Oh, yeah. So Milady's, I have to read it to remember. So Milady's situation was essentially this guy has been really interested in her. He went away to Korea and she was trying to figure out, should I pull back while he's in Korea? Should I talk to him? Should I let him cook? All that good stuff. So I told her, let him cook. Don't talk to him. So he told me that he's trying to relocate there to Korea. Oh, this is a problem now. He had an interview today. It's strange he would say, let's wait 3 months for pineapples, and I want to build a foundation, and then casually mention he's actively trying to move across the country. I told him since he's considering relocating, we shouldn't keep talking so that we can avoid pain in the near future. He said he disagrees, and even though he doesn't know if he's leaving in a month, we should give it a shot. Asking for no pineapples, just a relationship. I said okay okay, then what? He responded, I'm not sure. I think right now I have a different attitude towards risk, but you know your heart and your situation and openness to risk way more than me. And ultimately, you're probably right. I just hate shutting things down for maybes, but I do know I have an intention to move on from where I am now in life, and I have no clue where that will take me. So I understand if that's a deal breaker. Okay, milady. So my answer to you, I don't think this was, she said, I said, okay. My answer to you in terms of like, if you're wondering how to decipher this, I think your best course of action is to allow him to show you that that's what he wants and that's what he's here for. Simple as that. Those are great words. That's a great monologue that he went on to tell you how much he cares and how much he wants to be with you. However, that's not what's actually going to save the relationship if he moves or if he, relocates. So let him show you that he actually wants to build this relationship by continuing to be consistent and allow his advances if he's going to continue to be consistent. But have in the back of your mind, I'm not saying, hope for disappointment, but just understand that if he ever does stop being consistent, there's no need to ask him why he stopped being consistent. The simple answer is he's showing you through his actions that while he might talk a big game, he's not actually about a big game, which is fine. Most people aren't. Everyone, trust me, I've been there. I've been in a long distance relationship. I make fun of you guys about having pen pals. I've been in a long distance relationship. Everyone talks a big game about how they'll do so well in the long distance relationship when they move and how it won't be different and how everything will still be perfect. Majority of people can't do it, including myself. So just keep that in mind. And don't be bent out of shape if, after he says all that and does all of that, it still ends up being, he still ends up not doing what he said he would do. That's most people. Okay. So just let him show you is my answer to you. Let's see here. We have Sag who says emotionally unavailable. Okay. We have a bunch of screenshots with Sag. So buckle up. Emotionally unavailable. Sag12 says, hi, Tomisin. My perspective is starting to change. Thanks to all your great advices. Thanks for your content. I'm gladly single at the moment. I'd like to, let me put this up. I'd like to Uh, I like to ask advice about an unresolved situation. I have dated this guy for 5 months, and that seemed to be an healthy relationship where he would plan dates and activities spontaneously, and there seemed to be great communication. In fact, the only issue that I could find was that he would be slightly absent sometimes with his tech. I don't like texting consistently. Yeah, right. Uh, but I would feel just at times distant from him emotionally during the times we didn't meet. However, in real life, I feel great. A great connection, and we have long conversations. I brought that up in a moment where he would almost say it before me. So I didn't initiate the conversation, and it helped. He agreed. He agreed on improving communication through calls and also spending more time together, saying he appreciated me sharing that. He did improve, but there seemed to be ups and downs, especially because he was always busy with work. So why aren't you busy doing something? That's the question. Not replying for 2 days sometime. Okay, so find something you can do in that time period instead of waiting for him to text you. Even though he did say it from the beginning, he wasn't great with text. Lately, so he told you, and now you're surprised that he told you of what he said, that's actually happening. Lately, I came back to a trip, and he would repeatedly say that he couldn't wait for me to come back in order to meet in real life, in real life, in real life, in real life. The day we were supposed to meet, he went completely silent. So I asked if everything was okay, and he called me with a broken voice saying that he had some family issues and he felt very bad and apologized for not mentioning it. So I told him after the phone call that I was willing to help if he needed it and gave him some space. P.S. Read screenshots after the second part of this post. That's the last interaction between me and him. So she said, read it after the second part. However, he kept texting me. He kept texting the next day with almost normal convo, during which he mentioned he would have gone to a wedding. In that moment, I felt like I was being played because he was carrying on with normal activities, not planning to meet with me, regardless of the fact we hadn't seen each other for almost 3 weeks because of my trip. These have been the last texts. I'd just like to know your opinion on this and if I should perhaps reach out. Because of his family situation, even though he hasn't reached out for more than a month now. He hasn't. What do you mean he hasn't reached out for more than a month now? What? Okay, so this is the message. We'll skim through this. I hope you enjoyed working. Just wanted to see a few things. I haven't been. You guys can skim as well. I haven't been. You're going through right now. Just came across. I try to support you. Da da da. Uh-huh. Trying me. I left 5 minutes apart. Okay. Hey, I'm sorry I reached out to you. I don't like the fact that you've been feeling this way. Da, da, da. Back. It's not that I don't care. I just, I get the gist, so I just want to skim through the details. Honestly, I do care about you a lot. Okay, available. Take a step back. I know it wouldn't be fair to ask you to read. Okay. And then you said, I'm glad, perfectly understand. Okay. So, I think in your situation, I don't think that he doesn't care about you, but I think I think you're doing a bit too much pushing right now. I think you're not letting him cook, and you're actually going to end up ruining his ability to desire you after a while. Because I literally just talked, it's so crazy. Every time I talk about it, it happens in the Discord. I just talked about how as you begin to ask this guy for more attention, while he might give you more attention, it ends up coming out of pity instead of coming from a place of his desire to pursue you more. And that doesn't work, because you're not going to end up getting a guy who truly wants to be with you and spend more time with you. You're just going to get a guy who feels sorry for the fact that you have nothing else to do except to wait around for him and wait for him to text you and call you more. And so you don't want that. You don't want pity. You want him to have desire for you. And I don't want to say that bringing this up was a mistake. I just think that your focus has been in the wrong place. You've already said he desires you. You've already said he takes you out on dates. You've already said that in real life you have a great connection. And this is the problem. Some of you are text addicts. Think about what you just said. And this is why, Sad, I'm not mad at you, but I get passionate about this. I want you to also look back at all the other girls' issues that they've been having in their relationships. A lot of them have the opposite issue of you, where they are in situations where they're with men who all they can do is text or maybe sometimes phone call, but they never have the desire to actually take them out on a real date and see them and speak to them and talk to them in real life. And so the craziest part about this is that you are in the opposite situation. You have all the things that most of the other women are seeking for from the man, which is the pursuit and the intention, being intentional enough to take you out and like actually try and build this real in-person connection with you, which you say is great. And all you can think about is how little he texts you or how distant it feels when you're not together. And this is the problem, because when you like a guy, not just Sag, but all of you in general, when you like a guy, your approach drastically changes and you become more needy and desperate. So rather than letting this man who already likes you and is already interested in you cook and continue to like you more and continue to be more interested in you, now you're turning the tables into being the person. Why don't you text me more? Why don't you call me more? He already wants to spend time with you. Let him have the space to want to spend more time with you, okay? And relax and chill out, right? In the time in between that he can continue missing you and come to his own conclusion that he wants to spend more time with you, okay? Because the more you act like this, but I want you to text me more, but I want you to see me more, the less he will be pursuing you, okay? Because you don't come across as desirable, you just come across as needy and desperate. I don't care if he doesn't text you for 2 days or 2 hours. You should find something else that you can occupy your mind with that you actually genuinely care about, outside of just sitting around and waiting for him to message you or text you or call you. Because the crazy part about it is, as much as he cares about you and likes spending time with you, for the time that he's not texting you, he's actually doing something that he enjoys doing or that takes up his mind and brain space. So he's not thinking about you. So why are you torturing yourself by sitting around watching paint dry, hoping that he'll text you or call you, instead of focusing that energy on yourself and doing something for yourself, that you don't sit around waiting for his call or his text? This is why I tell you guys, you trick yourself and become addicted to focusing your time and energy on someone else's life instead of investing that time and energy into yourself. And then you wonder why the relationships you're in feel so draining. Okay? So, Sag, you need to get some hobbies or passions that you're not constantly thinking about the last time he texted you. And you need to actually become appreciative of the relationship you do have. Clearly, you're in the beginning stages. It's not supposed to be hot and heavy and intense and let's get married in the first 2 days. Let him cook, okay? It doesn't need to happen overnight, and it doesn't mean it's not passionate or romantic or true love just because it doesn't happen overnight and he doesn't talk to you 24/7, 365 right at the very beginning. Let him cook. Let his interest in you continue to grow. Let things escalate over time. This isn't a Disney princess movie, and this isn't a Wattpad story. Everything's not going to happen in a couple sentences. Okay? This takes time for people's appreciation to grow about you and desire to grow of you. Relax and appreciate the fact that you have an intentional man who wants to spend time with you. And the more you complain about that, and the more, especially when you're complaining about the texting, not the in-person, the texting, all you're doing is encouraging him to be a better texter and focus less of his energy on being a better in real life partner. Okay? Don't make the men that you're with in a relationship with be focused on trying to be the best texter they can be. Help them focus on being the best in real life partner. Okay? Very important. All right? So that's all we're going to do for today. Don't worry, we'll get to so much more in the tomorrow, because tomorrow's Friday, so I'll stay a little bit longer tomorrow to answer some. So that's the show for today. If you guys have any questions of your own or situations of your own, please feel free to go to my Discord. The link's in my bio if you're on TikTok, and the link's in the bottom of the description if you're on YouTube, and you can ask your question just like all of those beautiful, amazing people. Okay? So if you also want to follow me on Instagram, you want to see everything I'm doing, you're like, I just love you so much. I just want to make sure that I never miss anything that you do in life. You're going to be part of my life forever. You can go follow me on Instagram there and see more of me. Got lots of interesting videos if you scroll down. Okay. Also, and Instagram's there on the bottom right for those of you on YouTube. If you are on TikTok and you're like, I love this show so much. This is the most amazing show ever. This is the most amazing everything. I can't believe this even exists. This is my first time here. I want to see more of this. You can go on my YouTube where you can watch all of the amazing live stream shows that we've done in the past. And you can see everything we've discussed, get in on our lingo, get in on our topics. From all of our past live stream shows right in my live section. And also for those of you who are like on YouTube and you're like, oh my God, I love your show, but it's too long. You spend too much time yapping. Can you condense it further for us? That is exactly what I do on my main page. I take all of these live shows. I cut out the fluff. I cut out the talking to the chat. I cut out everything else that's not just the information, and I condense it down into a much shorter, easily digestible video for those of you who like the easily digestible stuff. So you can go on my main page to find the shorter versions of the videos. Has a little bit less detail, but they're shorter, and I'm going to try to from now on to keep them under 15 minutes on my main YouTube page. Okay. In the live section, we'll have it 3, 4, 5 hours if we want to. All right. So I love you guys so much. I'm going to be back on tomorrow. I'm here every weekday, Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So whatever time that is in your time zone, that's the time you need to be aware of to join me here on time at the Players Club. Okay. Until then, I will see you tomorrow, where we will continue to have amazing conversation about love, life,